good and welcome to the United Touring Championship live from the Red Bull Ring in Austria for round 11 and 12. I am James Parfitt, and joining me in the booth this evening is Zach Sweeney. Track length today, guys, 4.28 kilometers. Set city of Spielberg in Austria. We are on the Grand Prix configuration. So we do only have 7 corners, a few straights, and a couple of wiggly bits to get us through the, and well, it's going to be an absolutely incredible week. So the format for this evening is a sprint race of 11 laps, and then we go in the feature race of 15 laps, plus the mandatory drive-through that these drivers have to take, and that will be this racing. And don't forget, for the will be a full reverse. Now we are here at round 11 and 12. We do go to Phillip Island on the 10th of December for round 13 and 14, and then we round out 15 and 16 on the 17th of December. That will see the return of the mighty Eagles. Guiding you through that one. Will be live from Oran Park. Now, I think it's time to bring in Zach, have a chat about last time out in Monza. Zach, good evening. How are you, young sir?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you very much.
So, now obviously, I was away at Monza. I was down in the sunny south of England in Portsmouth. You and Biggles were on the mic. What was the story of Monza then? Because I've heard it was quite eventful.
Yeah, that is probably the bluntest way you can put it. I mean, anyone who is watching along today, who was there a couple of weeks ago, will know just how interesting, I think, is the politest way to say how it went at Monza. Of course, we didn't have turns 1 and 2 as you would normally see them on the Grand Prix layout at Monza. We completely skipped them, went straight on turn 1. It was at Curva Grande. And that opened the opportunities for some interesting shenanigans, let's say, in terms of that one. We also modified the Roger chicane for turns 2 and 3. They were a lot faster in the minimum corner speed you were going to carry through. They were a lot less tight as well. Hardly a chicane, really, more just a bit of a kink that you go through on the left-hand side. And again, that did open the door for some, let's just put it into the nicest way as possible. Just some really big crashes. We saw on the open lap we had Scott McFall in race 1 have a pretty big off after sort of settling into 2nd or 3rd place. But yeah, the race itself was just a whole sort of attrition-based affair. You really had to just be in it and to win it. I think at some point, that race 1, we only saw sort of 4 or 5 people actually make it to the checkered flag on the lead lap. A similar story over the course of race 2 as well, though the big name that made it through the majority of both races pretty much unscathed was Olivier Boltonic. I think it was a 2nd and a 1st, I believe, if memory serves me correctly. I haven't quite double-checked my facts. But it was...
2nd and 3rd.
2nd and 3rd, I was close enough. 2nd and 3rd, so 2 podiums over the course of the 2 races, and that was definitely sort of the big name over that event, because they were the only one that was able to solidify a decent result over the course of both races and just be consistent. But Monza was definitely a big learning opportunity for a lot of people to realize how difficult it can be to race quite cleanly in these touring cars, how prone they can be to crashes as well. But we're back to normality here at the Red Bull Ring. I think it is just a sense of relief for some drivers to come back to a normal circuit after sort of having a week off and return, get back into the swing of things. Monza really was an anomaly in terms of the track on the calendar, but yeah, they've got it out the way. The flashbacks hopefully have subsided by now, and they can return to getting on as normal.
Absolutely. Right, guys, we will give you a quick rundown of the current standings at this moment in time. Scott McFall is leading the way on 158 points. Olivier Boltonic in 2nd on 145. Dan Mould in 3rd on 126. Callum Reid Garton on 109. Chris Byram on 91, tied with Lewis Archer in 5th. Mark Draper in 7th on 85. Nilton Carvalho on 77. Mikael Lees on 75. And Dominic Herbert rounds out your top 10 on 60 points. I hope you are settling in comfortably, guys, because we are going to have hopefully an amazing race. We do have a lack of cars on grid at the moment, but that could be to the World Cup taking place currently at the moment as well. There's no other leagues have suffered with World Cup running currently at the moment, but that is not something that me and you can do anything about, Zach, is it really, the World Cup running at the same time?
No, not particularly. I mean, I personally wouldn't let it get in the way of me coming to a race, but I'm not as passionate about football as many other people are, particularly in the UK. But yeah, no, obviously a massive event only happens once every 4 years, so you can give them a bit of an excuse for that one. Pretend race cars versus something that only happens every once in 4 years. I guess you can sort of put it aside. Some people use it as a good opportunity to spend time with their families, so everyone has their own reasons. But we still have 10 cars on the grid, and fingers crossed we can still have some good racing. Because looking at the practice times, Callum Reed-Garton and Danny Bleak aren't separated by so much. So, you know, there's still a pretty good avenue for some good racing here, despite the lack of numbers. So hopefully we're going for quality as opposed to quantity.
Hopefully we will, and it's going to be one of those amazing races that we are hoping for. Full reverse grid, that does mean that we'll obviously have the 10 cars that you can see currently on track that will basically go through into the race. So at the end of the day, we will bring you all that we can, and hopefully keep you up to date with everything happening. We have some close racing now. We do have obviously Callum Reed-Garton on track as well. Now Callum Reed is, well, he's coming to this series and he kind of set it alight a little bit, isn't he, Zach? Really, he's been up and around the top of the timing tower pretty much week in, week out.
Pretty much, yeah. He's had a sensational sort of run of form as of late as well. Is one of those names up there with the likes of Scott McFall, Olivier Boltonic, who you come into a race meet and be like, okay, yeah, they're going to do well, purely because of their reputation, how they've been able to handle themselves. Callum Reed-Garton, I do remember, did quite well when we went to Donington. I'm not quite sure with Brands Hatch. I think he also did quite well there, but every race he's participated in, he's sort of been quite a spotlight name, and I'm sure that's going to be no different here at the RedBull Ring, particularly because we don't have any Scott McFall, we don't have Olivier Boltonic, we don't have Dan Mould or anyone else really you would expect to be higher up in the championship. So for Callum Reed-Garton, this is pretty much handing him the win on a silver platter. Hopefully those around him are going to make it slightly more difficult than that, but in Callum Reed-Garton's head, it's like, okay, some big names are out of this should be mine to win.
Yeah, they couldn't time out in Donington and take the both wins Brands as well. So, you know, he ain't no slouch. We are aware of this, and I'm expecting good things there as well. You know, I know we've got a couple of drivers. Olivier Boltonic is in the Sim Expo in Germany. So let's see who else is there as well. If you are out in the Sim Expo in Germany, congratulations. I didn't get there myself this year, Zach. Not something you wanted to attend?
I didn't know it was going on, personally. I didn't look much into it, and I don't think my parents would be too happy with me taking a good old holiday by myself down to Germany. So no, I'm still at home, unfortunately. But in the future, definitely something I'll look into, because just a nice little trip. It's yeah, it is good that you get these sort of land events hosted and things like that. Everyone can go, and it just goes to show the progress in the sim racing.
Exactly, I think it's one of the biggest ones they've had this year down in Germany. Obviously, I'm not there myself. I'm sat in the sunny, not so sunny, freezing cold UK currently at the moment. And if anybody don't believe me how cold it is, I actually went out to my car this morning and it was frozen. And it's been cold all day, and I've almost, as an old man, brought out the long johns because it is getting very, very cold in the UK over the winter period. The heat going on, much to the disbelief.
Can you afford that?
Well, much to the disbelief of the missus, mate. Unfortunately, though, when you're sat there and you're going to bed with more layers on than you are actually going out with, you know what I mean? It's time to put it on, bud. Regardless of that, another bit that goes with it, you've got to keep warm, mate. I don't want to woke up with frozen eyeballs and frozen eyelashes and stuff like that. It's never good. You know what I mean?
See, yeah, well, my bedroom's downstairs, so, you know, obviously heat rises, things like that. I get a really cold bedroom when it comes to nighttime, so, you know, I've had to wrap up quite a bit, you know, and just in general as well, biking to college, when I have to get into college by 9 o'clock as well, I'm out, and I'm like, nope, my hand's too cold, run back in, get some gloves, get my little beanie on as well, and then go, and I'm still freezing cold by the time I get to college. It is not fun, but I prefer it to the heat waves that we had over summer. Honestly, that killed. You know, being a Brit, you know, you're more accustomed to the cold than you are the hot. As much as it does suck, I will admit it can be so freezing. But you can put more layers on. You can't take, you know, more layers off in that sense. So definitely prefer the cold, me.
Hey, I'm with you only because in the summertime, there are periods of life in the summertime where I end up being that I'm allergic to wasps. Carry me little EpiPen. There are times when people run in a race scream like a fragile girl to get away from something that terminate my life. So, I'm fully understandable. So I do prefer the winter as well because they're all sleeping. And I don't have to be so fearful of running down the street, screaming frantically. My town that's probably than the start-finish rate here at the Red Bull Ring, avoiding something that may or may not end my life. So, I'm a winter man as well. I do fully understand that. I just do end up putting on about 6 layers, and my foot. Oh, and I've got my long johns out and everything else, my winter just to go and stand there and watch a little 5-year-old play football. So that's a shit.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, there's no Christmas in the summer either, and I'm still a massive child. I've got my little Reese's Advent calendar. I get really excited to get up and run to it every morning, get my little chocolate for the day. And my girlfriend's parents got me one as well, so I get to look forward to that every day I go over. And I'm like, oh my god, yes, I get another set of chocolate. It's great. I just get all giddy about Christmas. I was because now finally, because commentary and everything like that, I've been able to get everyone something for Christmas. And honestly, buying everything just gave me such a dopamine rush. Like I got bored one day. I was like, I'm going through my Christmas list. I had like a little sheet of like links to everything I was going to get everyone. I was like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to buy everything. It's going to look great. Didn't like looking at my PayPal afterwards, but the dopamine rush of just buying everything and having it wrapped and just having it all ready. This mind you, this was like start of November, right? This was really, really early, but I just love the run up to Christmas. That's why I love winter so much. My birthday's in spring, but I get to do Christmas, then the short little run up from the end of winter to the start of spring to my birthday. I was just, yeah, it's great. And then you get to the summer, it's like, oh great, it's just really hot now, fantastic. But just there's no Christmas in the summer. You got to love winter.
Yeah, you do, to be fair. We did a bit of Christmas shopping today, went off around the garden centre, had a look at all the little Christmas displays with the moving reindeer and whatnot today. So that was all good. And picked up some little ornaments. So I'm not quite sure if they're on the tree or not. I'm staring at because no, they're not on there yet. They must be still in the carrier bag that we brought them with. But we have entered quality, guys. We have got 12 minutes on the clock at the moment, and these guys are now starting their fast laps here in the qualifying. So we will keep an eye and see how they get on. Now, the thing with so what we find that is the Red Bull Ring for love or hate track. Now, some people love it. Simplicity, not very difficult. There is literally about 5 right-handers and about 4 left-handers, and that's practically about it, including the few wiggles that are in the middle. But it's not everybody's favourite track because of the shortness of it, because as we know within iRacing, the track limits are tight, so tight here as well. You dip one little tyre on the curb, and before you know it, you got an off track. And what's your opinion of it? Because I don't mind this circuit. I've got to be honest, some of my best racing I've had here has been here at the Red Bull Ring, along with Interlagos. But what's your opinion of the Red Bull Ring? Do you love it or do you hate it?
I love it. I like the Red Bull Ring so much. I think it's a sensational circuit. You've got the 3 back-to-back straights, followed by a relatively heavy braking zone for each of them, the undulation of the circuit, how it flows quite nicely as well, which is difficult for a circuit that's so heavily straight dominant. It does flow really, really nicely. You've got good points of heavy braking, loads of overtaking opportunities. The slipstream is massive. Everyone can follow so closely together. And I've also just got some good memories at Red Bull Ring, which I also think does play a big factor in how much you like a circuit, because it doesn't matter. It could be tipped to be the best circuit in the world, but if you've had some bad experiences there, you're just going to naturally take a distaste to it. So yeah, definitely one that I do like, purely because of just where it is, the location it's at as well. It just makes it a pretty circuit to look at. But yeah, I don't get the hate for the Red Bull Ring. I think it's similar to the Hockenheim actually. Some people don't really like the Hockenheim, and again, I just don't get that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. The poll is having chat as well, guys. So if you are here and want to get involved, do you like the Red Bull Ring? Yes or no? We have got Callum Reid Garland set in purples currently at the moment as well. He's coming around the final corner, down through Red Bull Mobile it goes. He kind of come off the gas, point the car and aim away, then hit the accelerator and hope the car holds on the outside curb before you venture into trouble. And Callum Reid Garland goes in pole on a 1:40.87. That's two seconds near enough faster than Mikael Lees in second place is. When you kind of see that, it's tough to look past CRG, isn't it? Because he just seems to be so quick.
Yeah, and 1.2 seconds around the Red Bull Ring is a lot of time. As we say, there's only, 9 or 10 corners with a bit of squiggly bits. So, well, I guess 9 if you don't count turn 2, because it's not really a corner. You're not on a bike. But yeah, you've only got 9 opportunities to really make up that time. So 1.2 seconds is huge. You're losing what? Let's just call it a tenth and a bit every corner. That's massive. We're seeing Adam McNorley make up some time to bring it under a second, but that's still pretty huge. So fingers crossed, someone can get onto the back of Callum Regan and put some pressure on. Fingers crossed for some promise in the race. Right now it is quali. No one's really benefiting off any slipstream or anything like that. When we do get into the race, whoever qualifies in second, third, etc., are going to benefit off that slipstream. And fingers crossed they should keep him, keep him with his leash on and not let him get too far away.
A little bit worried now he's got purple in sector 1 again. Mind you, he did have a yellow sector 2, but not by much, mind you. But I'm just... Oh! Hold it. Good lad. Well done. Nice recovery there, because that could have gone horribly wrong. But I'm not expecting an improvement in sector 3. So there you go. We'll see what CRG can do. He is absolutely flying at this moment in time in this wonderful racetrack that some like, some hate. I don't mind it. I quite enjoy it. That clearly enjoys it as well. So that's all we've got to worry about. Now, final 2 rounds of the season. Phillip Island and Oran Park. Now, we both said we've never really been to Oran Park in a broadcasting capacity. I haven't done much driving there. Now, I've been to Phillip Island quite a few times, in fact.
Love Phillip Island.
Oh, it's an incredible circuit. Been there and seen there in Radical, and I've been there at MX5 more recently. They sim races this year. And it's absolutely incredible racing. Now,
I agree.
Yeah, I think we're going to be in for an absolutely incredible final 2 rounds, I think. And that's going to be the thing. Phillip Island's fast flowing. It's got it all, hasn't it, really? And what are you most looking forward to in the last 2 rounds, then? Are you looking at Oran Park or are you looking at Phillip Island? Because Oran Park... we both haven't really been there in a broadcast capacity. I definitely haven't. I can't actually remember any leagues or anything, any broadcasts that I've done in Oran Park. I don't know about yourself. Have you been there, Zach?
No, never. Honestly, I only know about it because, so some good people I do commentary with, Lewis McGlade, Cameron Roger, they like to take the mickey out of the fact that I don't know many circuits outside of Formula 1 ones. So they take some sort of screenshots of a circuit and like, where's this? And if it's an F1 one, I'll be like, oh, it's this one. If it's one I'm familiar with, I'll be like, oh, it's this one. And then they showed me a picture of Oran Park. I was like, I've got no clue. Absolutely no clue. And they were like, fair enough, because it's now a housing estate. I was like, oh, it's a housing estate, brilliant. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to Oran Park because it is just a step into the unknown. Has Callum Regan just gone even quicker? Yes, he has, up into the 39s now, which is sensational stuff. 1.5 seconds clear of Michael Lees. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to Phillip Island because it's something I'm familiar with. It's a track that I know will deliver good racing. But also Oran Park, just for that step into the unknown. Not too recently, I had my first experience with Mosport as well, and that did not disappoint. So I do love learning new tracks, seeing what they do have in store. But yeah, Oran Park, it's an interesting one we don't see often too often in sim racing, because yeah, it's just sort of out the way, and obviously now it's not actually a real circuit, so yeah, it's just sort of there. If you want to use it, you can use it. But yeah, I'm just looking forward. I'm stoked for the last 2 rounds because of the championship, the racing that we've had all throughout the last sort of what's been now 9 races. I think this is 10 and 11. So yeah, last 9 races.
Yeah, 11, 12. So we've had 9 and 10. So we've had 10 rounds currently at the moment. We're on 11 and 12. So we've got 4 rounds to go. And I think that's going to be the interesting thing here. We're trying to keep an eye on Sean Roberts at the moment. Danny Bleak has gone. He's got greens on the board as well. So we'll follow Danny through across the line. See where he ends up. He ends up going second on a 140.8. The fear for everybody else is the gentleman at the bottom in the pole position. What is going faster in sector 2, which is going to be even harder for them. But I think regarding tracks, it's going to be an interesting last 4 rounds, really, because obviously 2 rounds per circuit, guys, if you're wondering why we're talking about that. Phillip Island, amazing circuit. Be interesting to see what these drivers can do. Oran Park, I think, to be honest, I'm going to have to watch it back because I'm more gutted that I'm not actually there that week. And obviously, the DLG goes quicker again on a 139.6. So that's one I'm definitely going to look forward to watching back because I want to see how that kind of comes across on a broadcasting point of view. Get what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of circuits that do have like some good, really, they've got a good reputation. But when you put them on a broadcast, they're not fantastic. I take the Nürburgring for example. I've never really had a great race there on the actual Nordschleife layout, not on the GP circuit. I think that's a great circuit. But for the Nordschleife itself, I don't think it delivers the best of racing in the world. It's just there for its character, its consistency, its challenge. So yeah, definitely can see that there are a lot of circuits that don't usually deliver on a broadcast that are still loved. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. It's the finale, of course, of what has been a fantastic championship for the UTC. So definitely will be a lot at stake, and I'm gonna guess quite an unfamiliar ground for a lot of these drivers as well, because of the fact that it is just a circuit that's tucked out of the way, doesn't even exist anymore. So yeah, I can guarantee that most of the drivers on the grid at the time, it would have been sort of their first time actually racing at that circuit.
I think that's going to be the thing. From the Nordschleife Cup point of view, I've had a couple of barnstorming weeks more recently last Thursday as well, but then they were radical. Carboard, 4 wheels go-kart, literally, that's about it, with a bit of an aero wing on the back. So they were absolutely flying around there, and we did a couple fly into areas of the unknown at the Nordschleife circuit, so and bring the action, but it can also terminate a lot of drivers in very, very quickly, including the championship leader last Thursday. They got terminated by about turn 5, I think it was, after the start. So unfortunately for him, yeah, he ran wide and he went. So Scott Gibbons currently bringing up the rear on a 143, 006 at the moment, but it's Regarten at the top on a 139.8. And at the moment, 3 minutes of quali. It's really, I think, from this early on, I know Danny Bleak is up there on a 140.88. Yeah, I can see that, I can get that. But that second, it's tough to pass Regarten for this. From the back, it goes in the back end of the back, it's still going to be 3-4 seconds quicker than Gibbons, for instance, on a 143. Past him, mate, I've got to be honest.
He's definitely favourite for sure, is Callum Regarten. He's, again, as we say, one of those drivers that will deliver and is continuing to go quicker at that purple through Sector 1. He's just refining stuff now. He's just doing it to have a bit of fun. He knows he's got pole realistically, because I don't see anything as much of the Danny Bleak or anyone behind can do. Mick Lees gets himself up into 3rd place now. So honestly, I see this more of a fight for second. We've just got to forget that Callum Regarten's winning the race out in front, and it's just a fight for second. But fingers crossed we do get sort of surprised. It's not going to be quite the anticlimax that we're hyping it up to be with Callum Regarten, who's just gone even quicker on now a 39.8. Marginally quicker, but still quicker. And when you've already gone that quick, it's so difficult to find even more time. And yet he's doing it. You sort of, on your first laps of a circuit, you go really quick, really quick, really quick. You do a lap, you go even quicker, you go even quicker, you go even quicker. Then you get to sort of like 10, 15, you start to know the circuit. And then it's sort of refining stuff bit by bit, 10th here, half a 10th there, then thousands. And that's sort of the stage that Callum Regarten's got to, but he's still going quicker. So let's hope, because beyond that, if we look beyond, just take Callum Regarten out, it'd be a close fight for pole. It'd be a close fight for second at the moment. There's only marginal gains between each car behind Callum. So yeah, there's still promise in this race, even if it's not that fight for first.
Well, as we've seen, anything can happen. We know that, and I know that. We've done multiple broadcasts where the pole position and spun up, not got away, and he's ended up down the order or gone off or trying to get, happen. So, I'm not saying we're going to see it happen. I'm saying that the possibility there that something can LG, and hopefully everybody guys on that one as well. But we are still going to be in some great racing, which does get delivered every single time the United Touring Championship is on. And if you haven't watched any of the rounds back, please go back and watch them on YouTube, because I tell you what, you won't be disappointed, because the racing has always been amazing and it's always been very close. It's bringing you the best of the touring car action as close as we can get it within the sim racing world. I think that's the important thing to realise for him, Zach, isn't it? That the racing that these guys bring is as close as we can get to the action in real life. So just bear with us. I seem to have lost that all of a sudden.
Apologies. I don't know what I've done there. It's completely. I just got kicked out of Discord. I was confused. I started speaking. I was like, "Hello, no, I'm not here." But yeah, no. It's. I honestly, I don't know. Just completely blanked. But here's your grid for.
Well, there we go. We are only human, and Zach did go out.
I don't think
come back.
Dell came a bit late. He can't
Callum
get in.
Regarton is in first. Danny Bleak second. Mikael Lee third. Adam McNally fourth. Chris Byron fifth. Lewis Archer sixth. Sean Roberts seventh. Dominic Herbert eighth. Laura Orbisek ninth. Scott Gibbons is in. And bear with me for 2 seconds. Just going to put you onto a BRB very, very quickly because I've just realised something is still on in.
I think once qualified.
Okay, we are back just in time for the start. I do apologise for that. Obviously, where I was managed to get very few moments of driving this week, I left voice chat on and not that on as we go in. Stay tuned because it is going to be an absolute incredible race, I'm sure, and these guys will bring us the best possibly can. So we're just waiting for the cars to get onto the grid and ready to go. And we'll be off, Zach.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Can't wait. RedBull Ring always does bring up some pretty crazy starts. Fingers crossed that Callum Regarton can get challenged because I think if they don't challenge him off the start, they've got no hope. They need to get in front early and just park the bus and hope that he gets sort of swallowed up from behind because that is going to be their biggest hope is to just get Callum Regarton stuck in a train because as soon as he's out in front, he's gone.
Yeah, here we go. We are going to be going off very, very shortly, so stay tuned. We are just waiting for CRG to get onto the grid, which is Callum Regarton. If I have to say that every single time, that will be a bit of a mouthful, so we're calling Regarton or CRG if you do hear him. Looks like he's missed the start. Okay, so five lights are on, and it looks like Callum Regarton has actually missed the start and is not here in the session whatsoever. So the man that we fought, there's incidents already at the beginning. Oh no! Danny Bleak is in the wall already. Looks like Callum Regarton has managed to come back into the session and is currently coming out of the pits, but it's Mikael Lees who's taking the victory. If Regarton's ever going to set himself a challenge, Zach, it's going to be now.
I thought he was doing it to have a bit of a laugh to start from the pit lane and come back through, but no, he's completely fluffed up. I don't know what's happened, whether he ran to the loo before the start or something. Easily done, fair enough. But now he's got really a challenge on his hands to climb his way back up. If anyone can do it, CRG can do it. There's Sean Roberts going a little bit slow coming off this start. Unfortunate for him. Same too with Danny Bleak as well, who didn't quite get off to the best of starts. But Mikael Lees, Chris Byram having some pretty good starts, up 2 and 3 respectively. Dominic Herbert up 4. So some really good gainers in the opening moments because of that early lap carnage. But now, because of Callum Regarton's misfortune, we are actually sort of slightly pleased about that. Not to miss, wish any misfortune on Callum Regarton or whatever. It just means that now we've got a pretty close fight for first.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an absolutely incredible one here with Mikael Lees, Chris Byram, Adam McNally, Dominic Herbert, Lewis Archer, Laura Ubasek, Stuart Gibbons, Sean Roberts, Danny Bleak, and CRG is coming through Worth now on that rundown into Rim this time around. But it's all going off. Mikael Lees out in front currently at the moment. As you can see, the gainers are on the left-hand side. You can see there as well, Dominic Herbert, the biggest one, gained 4, but that will be an off-track for Mikael Lees because they can't run too wide in that section. Laura Ubasek is having another battle here, trying to chase down Lewis Archer from the Kudaworks team as well, Zach. Pockets of battles going on. We've got first, second, third. Byram just looks like he's just gone up the inside of turn 1 there of Mikael Lees. Lees has lost not only one, but has lost another position as well because Alan McNally has just jumped him as well. We'll stay on board with the leaders for a minute because it looks like it could get spicy on this run up into Remus, the tight right-hander with a dip on the inside here, and these guys have got to be careful, Zach, to get this going up through this turn.
They do up and under for Alan McNeely, though. That was a fantastic switchback from the Hyundai driver, the 78. Now getting the drive up, down. Oh, well, they dip downhill towards turn number 4. You can see he's going to have the inside line, the right hand, but he's actually managed to get himself up in front. But here comes Chris Byron, might be going for the send late on the brakes. There's also Mikael Lees just in the background. In goes deep, though, does Adam McNally, and that's going to invite Chris Byron back underneath him on the exit through turn number 4 and invite him back to retake the race lead. So a small mistake there from McNally, able to invite Byron back through. But yeah, already we're seeing some great promise for a great fight here for the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got cars coming through. We're going to 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5. Look like it could come together very, very shortly, which is Dominic Herbert and Lewis Archer. I know there's been a lack of practice time for a few of these drivers this week. Everything's been taken precedent at the moment with Christmas and everything else. Kagan Spark, good luck, have fun to all drivers. It should be an absolutely incredible race here this evening. And at the moment, but only second time, Chris Byron currently out in front, and he's looking like he may be able to get another victory, and that pleases me no end.
It does. I mean, his it was when was it? It was round 2 at Kota, wasn't it? The second race he managed to get his first one. You were absolutely chuffed about that one, but hold your horses. Let's calm down for a moment. He's only on lap 3 of 11. Still got a long way to go. Still got unrelenting pressure from Adam McNally and Mikael Lees. So fingers crossed for Chris Byron. For your sake, we're going to see some action between second and third, because here comes Mikael Lees having a bit of a look to the right hand side and towards turn number 3. Is going to get his nose ahead in that Hyundai and does get the drive off the corner. They're around the outside. Comes McNally to get the drive again, using that outside momentum in the slipstream, of course, of Chris Byron, putting some pressure on as they dip their way back down towards turn number 4. Are they going to run 3 abreast, or is McNally going to turn defense into offense? Indeed is going to do that. Back down the inside for turn number 4. Chris Byron tries to hold him at bay to the outside of 4. We've seen this go wrong numerous times in the world of Formula 1. Are they going to emerge 3 wide as they exit turn 4? This is really heating up.
Yeah, Lisa's going to try and get through. He's trying to get his nose in. He's trying to get up in the inside of Byron. That's going to be the best run going down into the second part here around the big ball and around through Worth they go. Byron takes that inside line. Lisa's trying to follow him through. They've got to get McNally out a little bit further to be able to run around the outside. And at the moment, Lisa's swapped back. And the 2 drivers from Excite have managed to get into 1 and 2. And that was great manoeuvrability from Lees there as well. He knew where he was going to get the car, and he positioned his car in a way that he was trying to follow whoever was seeing the fastest, didn't he, really, Zach? He was having a good old go and trying to put his car in that position where if Byron was out in front, he was going to go Byron. If it was going to be McNally, he was going to go McNally. And as it's shown for Lees at the moment, he's out in front at the moment.
It is indeed. Look out for Callum Regarton, though. He's only 1.5 seconds off Lewis Archer for 5th place. And then it's a very close fight, but beyond that, for the fight for the lead. Side by side between McNally and, of course, Dominic Herbert and Chris Byron as well. It's really kicking off. You can see 2 wide, 2 rows deep in that fight for second. This is allowing Mikael Lees to sort of try and get away just a little bit. Here's McNally to the left-hand side, the outside line for turn number 3, relative to Chris Byron. He's going to send one back up the inside, though the outside line later on the brakes as well for McNally. Going to see him soar his way to retain second place. There's also the move from Lewis Archer on the inside of Chris Byron as well. They're going to run themselves side by side. Callum Regarton now right on the back of this train for 5th place, just in behind Dominic Herbert. You can see there in the yellow and black. Looking to the right hand side, the inside for turn number 4. You definitely cannot count out Callum Regarton for this race win at all.
He's coming through on Lewis Archer. He's going to push him around the outside of Roush. That's got to give Archer the tighten up section there as well, and that's not easily to do here because it can really cause you to drift slightly wide. As you can see, CRG's gone on the outside. Archer pulls it back in and says, oh no, let's avoid that one. And they're going round now. So CRG has currently got past Dominic Herbert and is now chasing down Lewis Archer from Cuda Works. I don't know, Zach, if they can't stop him, or I'm not saying block him, but do something with him that's not going to allow him to make that move, isn't he? Because he is aggressive. He knows where to position his car. His racecraft is second to none. And he knows now that he's got the run. And you can see it here. Archer's gone across, taken that position away. But now Archer's got to tighten up turn 1, which is going to give him a slow exit, where CRG can take his normal line. But at the moment, Herbert's looking at coming back up as well. And this is going to be a great run up into Remus for these drivers, and I want to see where CRG goes with that, because Archer's got to try and do something and hug that inside line.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see already pulling to the right-hand side. Callum Reed-Gutton going to fill the space that fills the left-hand side of the circuit to the outside. He's going to brake late. Not quite late enough, though. Using that outside swing, going to try and get the drive off the corner, though. Now emerges side by side with Dominic Herbert as they, again, run their way down this back straight towards turn 4. Dominic Herbert has backed out of it, though, so CRG still to the left-hand side. Just got half a car length ahead. He's got to be brave on the brakes. He's got to saw his way around the outside. Lewis Archer still looking keen on the inside, getting pushed through by Dominic Herbert, it must be said as well. The Callum Reed-Gutton gets the drive off turn 4 through turn number 5 in towards this double left-hander infield section of the circuit. Callum Reed-Gutton surely has to consolidate this place, indeed does. And there's one thing Callum Reed-Gutton has relative to everyone else, and that is confidence. He's coming off the back of a pole position, 1.5 seconds clear of second place. He knows he's quicker than all of these people. He knows he's got the pace to win this race. He knows that he sends a move and he will get it stuck. He knows that he's going to get through this pack of cars. He is so confident in his stride. That is something that not anywhere else on this pack of cars can boast. They're more worried about Callum Reed-Gutton getting through. They're looking in the mirrors. Where's Callum? Oh my God, what are we going to do? Am I going to win this race? Whereas Reed-Gutton's like, cool, yeah, no, you guys have been squabbling amongst yourselves. I've not even made the start of this race, and I've got a shout for the win. So for Reed-Gutton, he's got this one in his pocket. So as long as he keeps it nice and clean and keeps it tidy and stays consistent, I can still see him winning this race by a pretty convincing margin as well.
Yeah, Scott McFall is in new chap. Sorry, guys, absolutely ill today. Scott, I feel you, right? I feel you. I'm sat here with the terminology given to me by the wife that says you got man flu. So I do feel your pain, mate, currently at the moment as well. You know, so I fully understand. You take rest up. Hope you get well soon, buddy. But at the moment, you're in for an absolute barnstormer where CRG missed the start after qualifying in pole. We don't know if that was due to a disconnect or he just generally did miss the start. And is now hunting down his driver and has come from the back of the grid and is now currently sat in 4th and is on the tail end of Chris Byram and looking like Byram's left the door wide open. And here comes CRG through now through Slosh Gold he goes on this run down through the big old ball in the middle and in through Roush. And it looks like CRG is going to another one round the outside of the same section. He did that to Lewis Archer in the last lap. And it's, what do we think? What have they got to do? They can't swerve backwards and forwards, you know, to try and stop him because they're just not going to do that in general. But what have they got to do, Zach, to stop CRG coming through?
Drive faster. That is it.
We know that, but that's like, you know, saying to Mick Schumacher, drive faster to get out with Lewis Hamilton. You know what I mean? It's not always possible, is it?
That's what they've got to do. There's no other way to stop Callum Reed-Gutton. They have got the same machinery that, you know, the majority of the drivers, they've got Hondas or Hyundais or whatever that in their pocket. They have got the same machinery. Yes, there's some setup tweaks, but they can still do what Callum Reed-Gutton's doing. If he can drive a second lap quicker, it's possible. There's no massive discrepancy as we see Reed-Gutton up the inside of McNally up in the second place now and running a good second, 1.1 seconds quicker than the rest of the pack. If he can do it, they can as well. I know that's easier said than done. Different drivers will have different strengths and things like that. But around a circuit like the Red Bull Ring, you should be able to just find something else in you. That fire in you to want to do a little bit better. Here's Lewis Archer and Chris Byram and Alec McNally running side by side. A bit of a look from Byram to get himself back onto the podium. But Reed-Gutton, yeah, he's just head and shoulders above everyone else. There's not really much they can do to thwart his attack. Yes, they can park the bus. They could, you know, get a little bit more argy-bargy, a bit more aggressive. But even that, Callum Reed-Gutton's already proven that even that isn't going to stop him. He's still got time in this race to take his time just a little bit because of the sheer pace that he has. So for everyone else, their only hope is just go a little bit quicker and try and hope that Reed-Gutton doesn't do the same.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried. Last time out, he was on a 146.6 and Mikael Leist did a 141.84. This gap is coming down at a rate of knots that I think by the end of this lap, we're going to see CRG out in first place. And I think that's going to be the fear for these guys because once he gets there, he's already proven he can come from the back. Is he going to prove that he can come from the back in the feature? Because that's where he's going to be if he takes a victory in this race. I don't know what they've got to do. You know, have a builder in the back of the boot or so, building a wall because something's got to give. And at the moment, for Mikael Leist, it looks like by the end of this straightaway, on that run up into Remus, he's not going to be in the lead of this race. And that's no disrespect to Mikael Leist at all. It's just how quick TRG has been throughout the whole practice and qualifying session.
In the least out of order way possible, they just need to unhook the caravan and get a move on, because Callum Regan is just so sensationally quick. It's almost sort of unbelievable how quick he is relative to everyone else, because everyone else is really close. Callum Regan is just, yeah, cool, I'm here. I'm just going to do my own thing, turn the corner, get on the throttle, blah, 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 and go. And he's just doing it a little bit better than everyone else is. But Mikael Lees holds on for yet another corner. Already, though, feeling the pressure from Callum Regan. And as soon as Callum Regan's in your head, as soon as he's there, as soon as he's just planted the seed, he's staying there. And you cannot get rid of him. He is putting on such a large amount of pressure on Mikael Lees now, who's looking in his mirrors already thinking of going defensive. And now Mikael Lees is focusing more in his mirrors than he is on the circuit. That is only going to slow him up and only play more into the hands of Regan, who is able to use that pressure to get into the head of Mikael Lees. And that, as soon as that happens, he's in a vulnerable state. Mikael Lees doesn't really have much to defend with. He's losing confidence, doubting himself. Even things like this, even a bit of a bump draft from Callum Regan is him saying, yeah, all right, I'm here, I'm quicker than you, get a move on. And all that is the mind games, and it could, in fact, make Mikael Lees make a bit of a mistake, anything like that. And it just makes him so much more vulnerable and easier to sort of play with, go for the move. And Regan, yeah, I don't see this this standing staying any longer than sort of one more corner.
I think he's... I know people say, and I'm going to put it in a perspective, it's the only way I can put it, really. They say don't play with your food, right? That's
what I was going to say. That's exactly what he's doing.
It looks like he's playing with Mikael Lees, giving Mikael Lees the bump draft going into the corner. Of course, that's going to give Mikael Lees a big overspeed. Going to possibly miss his braking zone because he's got the bump draft, the CRG behind him. And I don't know if he's holding off just because to give us, a bit of a show, and by the last lap he's going to go through. But I don't. Yeah, it looks like he's the lion playing with a gazelle at the moment. I got to be honest, that he's just kind of playing with it and gnawing on his legs when he could go for the jugular. Really, that's the only way I can put that. And apologies if you don't quite get what I mean by that, but that's the only way I can do it. However, I am interested to see how this freeway battle turns out, because McNally has been right up the back of Byram and Archer's been right on the back of that. So we have got a little bit of a close one here as they come to the end of lap 9. TRG's still behind Lees at the moment. I don't think that's going to change possibly for at least another lap here, Zach. But this little freeway could get spicy, couldn't it, to be honest, because they all seem relatively around the same pace.
They do, and of course Adam McNally is sandwiched between the two Kuda Works drivers and already under a bit of pressure. Is Lewis Archer going to go the outside of turn 9? That is brave, and not able quite to carry that speed around the outside because it's a much longer way around. But Chris Byram hanging on for the podium, and he's going to be hoping that his teammate of Lewis Archer is able to sort of fabricate a move on Adam McNally. But McNally is so isolated at the moment. He's going to start to feel the pressure. Here comes Lewis Archer having a bit of a look to the right-hand side of turn number 1. Late on the brakes, does get it stopped. And you can see there McNally forced the outer extremities of the circuit. Loses a bit of momentum as well. So Lewis Archer might just be able to hang on. Also a bit of side-by-side a bit further back. Stuart Gibbons versus Laura Ubersax. And in towards turn 1, it's Stuart Gibbons that stays in front for now. But yeah, Adam McNally, so isolated when he's all by himself. He's got no one to help him out. It's a 2v1 at the moment for the 78.
But if he's isolated, Mikael Lees is in the freezer, isn't he? He's got nobody there. He's just got this looming eye of Callum Regan behind him, who's been bump drafting him for the last few laps. He's been tucked up as right behind us, possibly as far in as you can possibly get. When you end up going into, there you go, that's what we're seeing. When we're looking back and we're going into the car behind, and then we're looking forward and we're going into the car in front, we definitely know they're close. And I think Callum Regan is, well, I think he's going to make this move on this lap, Zach. I don't think he's going to hang around anymore. We've played with the food long enough. We've gnawed on the legs. Look at us. Look, we can see the inside of Lees's car.
Need to blur this.
It's incredible.
He's pushing the limits, and with 1 lap left to go, I don't think Callum Regan is going to be twirling his spaghetti any longer. He's Yeah, he's been sat waiting for the moment to finally be able to get in front. I think this is going to be it. Now you can see white flag wave, lap 11 of 11. He's going to wait just a little bit longer. He's going to leave it as late as possible, I think, just to make it a bit more interesting. But yeah, if Reed Gutton really wanted to, he'd have just gone for this move right now. There's no doubt about it. Final run out of turn 1 and up the hill towards turn number 3. Are we going to see it into the braking zone of here? They're separated by not so much at all. Reed Gutton's been waiting for this time and time again, just to see if he can get the move done, or forever he's just been playing with it. Spaces opens up on the inside, decides not to take it. Is he giving this win to Mikael Lee? Surely not.
I would say I wouldn't think so, because we know Reed Gutton is a full-blown racing driver. He knows what he's doing in this car. My fear is, though, Zach, there ain't many passing places left here between here and the last corner. If he's going to do it, he's got to run round. Now, the only good thing about this is, with the others that are above him in the championship, so Scott McFall and Olivier Boltonek, isn't going to lose a massive amount of points, but this is now where we're going to see it. He's going to run round Worth, he's going to run round the outside round Welsh, and, well, there you go. He isn't playing with his food. Yeah, he isn't playing with his food anymore. He's gone for the jugular. Job done there for Callum Reed Gutton, I think. Now, I'm interested to see Archer and Byram, how this one pans out. I know they come together in Monza, I believe, as well. And hopefully these two drivers from the same team don't come together again as they go into the final part of this racetrack. We will pick up Callum Reed Gutton if they do come on this run down to the line. There is CRG. He's going to come across the line in first place. Mikael Lee is going to be second, but here's this run from Byron, McNally and Archer. I think Archer may have got a slowdown on that final corner because he did lose that position. There is Scott Gibbons. There goes Laura Ubasek right above the camera. And these guys are coming in for 7th and 8th with Sean Roberts there still going round in 9th place. Okay, so breaking down race 1. We knew it was coming, did it in the final, almost coming into the last sector. It was just at the end of the second sector where he decided to go and make that move. And he still took it by 1.6 seconds.
It just goes to show what he had left in the locker for CRG. Yeah, there's just no words to describe it. He did all the talking on the track. He didn't make the start. He started a good few, 5-6 seconds before everyone else. And he still won the race by a fairly comfortable margin. And if he wanted to, he could have got in front 3 laps before that and just taken off. So even now, even the 1.6 second victory isn't telling the full story. If he started from pole, just imagine what he could have done.
I don't want to imagine what he could have been. I'm excited for the feature because it's put him further back. But here is the current, current results from race 1. As you can see at the top there is Callum Reed Gutton. Mikael Lee in second, Chris Byram in third, Anna McNally in fourth, Lewis Archer fifth, Dominic Herbert in sixth, Stuart Gibbons seventh, Laura Ubasek in eighth, Sean Roberts ninth, and Danny Bleak down in 10th place. So, okay, right, he's gone on, dominated this one around, job done there for CRG. What can they do? What can they do to stop Callum Reed Gutton? Is there anything they can do? Apart from drive quicker, please don't say that because we're aware that's what they've got to do.
Then I won't speak. I don't know.
Don't do that. We don't know, do we?
They can form a line across the track, 4 or 5 wide, and just completely block him. But I wouldn't doubt CRG to find a way through despite that. I just don't know. He's got such a prowess about him that he goes into every corner with such confidence and elegance that he just finds a way no matter what. And you could see his sheer ability just to go into any situation that he faced in that race. He missed the start. He was like, all right, cool, sweet. I've got the pace. I took pole by 1.5 seconds. I'm going to catch up. And he did that straight away because the people in front of him tripped up over themselves, was fighting so hard that Callum Reed Gutton was able to catch up before the halfway point of the race. If they want any hope, those at the front need to just say, okay, let's put our differences aside. we have Callum Regarden to face. Let's try and get away. Let's postpone the inevitable, at least for a little bit, because then they have some hope. They have, as opposed to, say, 8 laps to try and keep CRG behind, they then maybe only have 3 or 4. And that's a much easier task to keep him at bay for that long. Yes, it's still likely that CRG is going to find a way through, but it just makes their life so much easier and allows them to at least have a bit of a chance come sort of the latter portions of the race. But they just need to be more confident. They need to defend a little bit better, not leave so many open gaps, not trip up over each other. Yes, they're not teammates. They're still fighting for those positions, but, you know, they still need to think of the better picture, unless they're just saying, he's going to come through anyway. We might as well fight it out regardless because there's just no point fighting it, which honestly is fair enough.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of thing. Scott McFall has just said he actually got the old COVID. So there you go. Or he's got man flu. So one or the other. But hey, pick one. Anyone. I've got man flu according to the wife. So you know that's where I'm at with it, Scott. So I feel your pain, mate. I really do. It's going to be interesting to see how these guys start approaching this next feature race. Because really, I don't know. I can't see past it. Can't see past CLG for this one as well. He's doing his championship hopes. Really, no end of good currently being in this race without the people that are at the top. You know, Scott's not here. Dan's not here. Olivier Boltonek is in Germany, chilling, you know, having a good time at the Sim Racing Expo. So, from his point of view, if he takes a double tonight, he's going to walk away. You know, the way the scoring is just taking 18 in that one, and then in a feature, he could take another 25. Giving him a total of 43 points, plus without the pole position and the fastest laps and everything else. He's going to be well up there come next time out, next week actually, because he's on 109, at his 43, he's going to give him 151. That's going to put him in second place behind Scott McFall going into the last 4 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be well in it. He's going to be loving this round that Olivier Boltonek and Scott McFall aren't a part of it. So, Scott, mate, you've chosen the wrong time to catch man flu or COVID or whatever it is, because you've now got a good old championship rival on your hands of Callum Regarden. He definitely is up there in terms of Olivier Boltonek and Scott McFall's pace. Olivier Boltonek is the most consistent of the 3, I would say. I would say Callum Regarden has the most raw pace, and then you have Scott McFall, who I think is a nice medium between the two. So all 3 of them have their good attributes. All 3 of them come into a race weekend and are still a big name. Unfortunately, we only have one of the 3 big names in this session today, so it should be a clear sort of just clean up, check out, off he pops for Callum Regarden for this week. Next week, of course, with Olivier Boltonek and Scott McFall hopefully returning, it is going to make life slightly harder for him. But yeah, no, what it does is allow the championship battle to be blown right open with the addition of yet another driver, because he if he hadn't sort of missed the first couple of rounds, he definitely would have been up there regardless. But now it does give him that chance, the opportunity to you know, make a name for himself and maybe go for the championship. He is definitely a solid contender for it, particularly if he does win this race. I mean, he might disconnect, he might not score any points for race 2, but that is a pretty clutching at short straws possibility. And there's no disrespect for Callum Regarden, because we're making it sound as if he's making this race boring, because he's not. It is just a case of that he is that good, that it is just so clearly obvious that he is he's the favourite to win by a fairly decent margin as well.
Yeah, and it looks like possibly, just trying to check with Danny Bleak whether or not he can rejoin. Him and Alan McNally left the server thinking it would be another session, and obviously it's not. It's just a continuation of the last one. So we'll see if Danny Bleak can rejoin the session. That would be absolutely amazing. However, I did just realise that I've spelt rejoin wrong down the O and the I ran the wrong way. So my apologies.
Region
For my inability to spell, but I was typing quite quick. So you know. Let's just see what happens, and hopefully these guys may be able to get back. Otherwise, we're going to be down to 8 cars for the feature race, because obviously we've lost some drivers this week. Illness, the Racing Expo, World Cup. We've got it all going on at this moment in time, and that's going to probably be the same for the next 4 rounds, I would have thought, because of the way that obviously Winter World Cup that normally isn't in the winter, but if you want to go and hold it in Qatar in the summer, You go and deal with 100-degree heat and run around a football pitch for 90 minutes. Don't get me wrong. I do appreciate these guys get paid 500 grand a week and, should be able to do that. But I really wouldn't want to. So I guess the winter was the best time over in Qatar, Zach.
Yeah, probably. Because, I mean, even in the winter, it's probably going to be quite hot as well. I mean, we had the Qatar Grand Prix in 2020. Was it 2020? It was 2020, wasn't it? Or was it 2021? It was 21. No. Yeah, I don't know. It was one of the two. And even that was quite late on in the year, and that was still some pretty high temps, even at a night race. So, yeah, it does get quite hot in in sort of the Middle East. So, I mean, fair enough. I don't quite see the same appeal for football as the majority of my nation does, which is a bit of an outlier, but to each their own. And you still have to cut them some respect for getting on in the heat. But yeah, I mean, it's so poorly timed that that FIFA couldn't have just been more considerate of the United Touring Championship, could they? It was just so selfish of them to run their billion-dollar corporation and tournament for the sake of sake of the touring cars. But it is what it is, I guess. So you have to play with the situation you got at hand.
Yeah, exactly. And I know most. I'm not getting into politics at Qatar. We all are aware of the politics. So, at the end of the day, wasn't the greatest choice. Pretty much all we're going to say on that, because otherwise it's going to get dramatic. Not here for politics, we're here for great racing, and we've just seen that there as well. We've seen a man play with his food and take the win still by 1.6 seconds on the last lap in the last sector alone. So, be aware. Danny Bleak error message 1123. Not quite sure what that means. I'm not up to date with the iRacing error messaging, so I'll have to see what that is. So there we go. Hopefully we might be able to get some people back. Lots of hints and tips going on in the Discord. Close it down, completely close iRacing down and try again. It might let you back in. I can't guarantee that, because normally when a session is closed and started past a certain point, you're not able to rejoin. But then again, if you're a registered driver, you may be able to get back in. So that would be cool if you could. Then we can have some more cars on track. Go into the last 44 seconds of this practice session before we go for the reverse grid. Well, hopefully a top 10.
Fingers crossed. If they can get back in, they've only got a few seconds to do it. With the warm-up in and, of course, the transition into the race. So they are cutting it quite fine, but, again, only human, and mistakes do happen. So fingers crossed they can get themselves back in, but easy mistake to make, particularly when you do more than one championship, as McNally made that same mistake. Most of them do make a new session. No, not here. So fingers crossed they can get back in, because 10 is a little bit better than 8.
Absolutely. And well, anything to go by. Only one. But let's see what happened as well. Danny's trying to close our race go again. Well, and so is Adam McNally. So hopefully we should some people going in now into the grid for race 2. So this is obviously based off a provisional, because obviously these guys are struggling session. Danny Bleak should be in pole. Sean Roberts in second. Laura Ubasek third. Stuart Gibbons 4th, Dominic Herbert 5th, Lewis Archer 6th, Adam McNally 7th, Chris Byram 8th, Miguel Lees 9th, and Callum Regan in 10th place. Now, that's how it should happen. Let's see if we can get that amount of cars in session and see how we go. I think by the looking of it though, Zach, Adam McNally and Danny Bleak didn't get back in. So we are going to be short. We have got 8 cars, 2 left out, unfortunately. So underway we go in the feature race. Sean Roberts going in first place. Laura Ubasek in third now, with Stuart Gibbons going up the inside. Callum Regan is not off the start currently at the moment, as these guys go racing down into turn 1. And it's Sean Roberts from HPD Racing Team Dacia currently out in front. How long will that last? We will see, but it's Stuart Gibbons, Laura Ubasek side by side on this run up into Remus here from Kuda Am and GTR. How is this going to work out as these guys go flying?
Oh! That's Ubersak's having it off. That is that is a big one. Easy mistake to make on an opening lap, but for Laura Ubersac, that was a pretty big, hefty impact, particularly when they were starting towards the front of the grid. Good opportunity to score well. Lewis Archer able to get up 4 places on this opening lap, up now into 2nd place, which is fantastic for him. Also a bit of argy-bargy just in behind between Dominic Herbert and Stuart Gibbons. But yeah, no love lost on this opening lap.
Absolutely, and Sean Roberts has got away cleanly. CRG got to the back, let him get away a little bit, and is now trying to make his way through. He's already up in 7th place, and technically he's up 3. 2 of them were free due to people not being able to rejoin the session, and obviously 1 was due to Laura Ubersek there, unfortunately having a big incident. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's have a look back at that one very, very shortly. We'll see how this pans out first with Lewis Archer here and see what he can do. He's being chased down by Dominic Herbert. Dominic Herbert does go up the inside there, round the last corner before they go down into Red Bull Mobile, and that's Dominic Herbert up into 3rd place. Archer's in the pits already, Lisa's in the pits, Byram's in the pits. They're taking their pit stops early. Don't forget they have got the mandatory drive-through for race 2. You know, probably not a bad idea to get it out of the way, but all in all, you know, you've still got kind of this man who's going to be meeting you on the exit, if not maybe passing you on the exit. As we can see already, he's gone past Release, Byram and Ubersek, and Archer's on his way out. But Archer should be there, coming out side by side. There is Lewis Archer behind us. Here comes CRG for another run at it. But we've got Herbert, Gibbons, GTR Evolution. Having a go here, Zach.
Yeah, everyone's trying to settle into this race. Already a couple of people taking that mandatory drive-through pit stop. And again, I'd say for those that are slightly quicker to do it early, to get some clear air, and when everyone else does come in, you've already made that time up. You're going to be laughing when they come into the pit lane for their mandatory stop. But it does throw a spanner into the works for an interesting dynamic, because it's not necessarily a strategical element like you would see in an endurance race. It's not like you're having to stop, car on jacks, fuel up tyres, do the precise strategy to see you on for the rest of the race. You just have to drive through the pit lane. But even that, getting the timing of it right, when do you come in, how do you see your race progressing, and where are you going to come out, again, is a big factor as to how precise the timing can be, and getting that timing wrong can be detrimental to your race if you do get it wrong. It's a small gain, but can be a big loss if you get it slightly wrong. You could speed into the pit lane, you could anything like that. You could speed into the pit lane, you could have a poor in lap, poor out lap, you could come in at the wrong time, get caught up in traffic. Anything like that can really hamper you. So while on paper it does seem like, oh yeah, they're doing a drive through, what is that? You can lose a lot of time, particularly if you do speed on the way in.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. I think it's not the pit lane drive through, is it? It's how you approach it. When you get on how are you going to get down to speed of the pit lane limit? How are you going to make sure that you're not coming down too early? You can't go down too far. The yellow cones are there. They're going to be like, sorry son, speeding in the pit lane for you. There's still a lot involved, even though it is technically just driving through the pits there. Danny Bleak, thanks for the broadcasting. Shame I did many training but no races. Next time will be better. Well, hopefully it will be there as well with Danny. So hopefully we do have a bit of break in proceedings currently at the moment, so we can have a quick look back at Laura Rubasek, see how it all panned out as one of the GTR Evolution guys behind her. Code, Zach?
Usually that's something you can put it down to off the track a little bit. I don't really know what to make of that. We'll take another look as to what happened to Laura Ubersak's down up and towards turn 3. Oh, just way too late on the brakes, just clipped them at the wrong angle.
Yeah, I think that was Stuart Gibbons there, I believe. Car number 21, actually, Dominic Herbert, gave her a little bit of a tap. And unfortunately for Laura Ubersek, there was a straight divert left to the wall. So unfortunately, what a shame for Laura there. I'm sure she'll come back stronger next week to have another go. So it did look like a little bit of a tap from Dominic Herbert, as we see two GTR Evolution boys here running down into turn 1. Stuart Gibbons, Dominic Herbert, Zach. Through goes Stuart Gibbons this time around.
way off the track though, using the penalty lap for the MotoGP's layout for that one, but he's rejoined and gotten a slowdown, I think, as well, so has to relinquish that place to Dominic Herbert, who's now going to run side by side with him on that run uphill towards turn 3, though a car ahead for the for the 21 Honda of Dominic Herbert, who now settles in up in front for second place. Neither of them have come into the pit lane for their mandatory stop just yet. This is a fight between two people who have. Callum Regan versus Lewis Archer. Both of them pretty, good names in this race, particularly, of course, CRG, who's on fire in terms of pace. Lewis Archer, though, doing his utmost to try and keep the 46 at bay.
Yeah, I don't think at the moment, honest with you, CRG's been in the pits. He's not been in the pits yet.
Has he not?
No, he's not. Archer went in, Lease went in, Byron went in, and obviously that went in after our incident. But CRG has not been in, and he's doing to Lewis Archer what he did looked like he was going to do in the sprint race. He's done it again. Oh, there was a slight little bit of argy-bargy there with Archer and CRG, but it looks like CRG's got away with it this time. Hasn't been in, right? So, would you go in now to take it out of the way? Is that because he's going to be, I'm not going to say he's going to be miles behind. Probably not, but he obviously a good few amount of seconds in the pits. If he goes in, he hasn't gone in again, but he has got 10 laps, I suppose, to take it. When would you go in? Further down the grid, he didn't go off at the beginning, making his way back through the back. He's trying to come through everything at the same time.
Yeah, for sure, he is. He's got a lot to juggle, but I think if he's got a bit of clear air now, which he can use to his advantage. He needs to use that 7 seconds he's got between himself and Stuart Gibbons. When he does catch up with Gibbons, that's when I'll come in. Right now, he needs to utilise that clear air, although he has got Lewis Archer in his slipstream, and he'll be dragging Archer along. So maybe coming in now to stop giving Archer that advantage could also be a good idea. But yeah, for Regan, he's so much quicker, in the sense that he's got just a massive crosshairs on his back. Everyone's going to be looking at him and finding ways they can do to slow him down, try and keep themselves in the mix versus Callum Regan. And I think that he's all by himself. He's using himself and his pace to carry himself in this race, which most drivers are, but more so now because as I say, he's got the entire grid trying their best to try and keep him at bay. Lewis Archer doing his best to hammer some pressure on. So for Callum Regan, I'm sure he's going to take the correct avenue in terms of when he's going to come in, but he doesn't want to leave it too late. If he comes in now, he's got a lot of time to try and recover the time lost. If he comes in sort of on lap 13, sort of that area, and he comes in and he's a little bit further back than he'd particularly want to be, he hasn't got the time really to recover it, and that is something he's going to have to try and juggle with. Already on that last lap, he's gained a couple of seconds on Stuart Gibbons, and I don't particularly think that Regan is going to want to stay behind the 47 for too much longer and lose that time.
Absolutely, I think Regan is going to be on his way, and he's going to be up to the back of number 47, which is Stuart Gibbons, very, very shortly. Dominic Herbert there as well. Don't forget, guys, if you are here, please subscribe, turn on the bells, and give the video a big old thumbs up. Absolutely. Even with the amount of cars we've got this, still been some absolutely epic racing here from the United Touring Championship there as well. And a big shout out to obviously Lewis Archer and Chris Byram, who do obviously take part in running this league. So absolutely amazing job as well for putting this on, because it has been an absolute incredible series, and we've still got 4 rounds to go. Now we are going to end the poll at what looks like most people love the Red Bull Ring. 4 of 50 votes, 80% say yes, that they like the Red Bull Ring. Well, there you go. That's on board with myself and Zach Sweet there as well, because we both do this circuit. Regards just pulled out another from these guys in front currently, so we'll see how much more of a gap he can close, and whether or not he's going to try and get up to the front of Sean Roberts before he takes into the pits. This could be an exciting one. Stay tuned and pay attention to the number 4th place car currently at the moment. That is Callum Regan and have a look here as number 10. So there we need to try on and currently closing the gap here with Stuart Gibbons and Dominic Herbert. So let's see how this one pans out as we're going into lap 7 of 15. Gibbons and Herbert now. Herbert looks like he's just gone past. He has. Looks like Stuart Gibbons possibly had a slowdown. That's not going to put him under too much pressure from Regarten, apart from just let's have that position. So here we go again. From Regarten making his way through. Sean Roberts there off in currently for HPD Dacia team. They're leading us off currently at the moment. So there you go. What do we reckon here this evening is going to happen now? Because CRG's made his way past Stuart Gibbons, Shooter Gibbons having a slowdown. Now in third. What? Okay, the 2 seconds quicker a lap. You've got to take a mandatory drive-through. Try and get to the front, or you take that drive-through.
I mean, I wouldn't. I don't think there's any need to take the risk of overtaking her, but I think he's just coming this lap. I mean, he's not going to stop and waiting around at all. You can see that the drive he just got off turn number 8. Having a bit of a look to the right-hand side, not quite got the legs in front. And if he hasn't been able to do it on the first attempt, cut your losses, come straight in. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. You can see peeling off to the right-hand side there. There was no need to extend that suffering, to stay behind Dominic Herbert, to put yourself under unnecessary stress, take unnecessary risks. He's come straight in to get that clear air back. And then when Dominic Herbert comes into the pit lane, Callum Regarten will be able to get it relative on and get that undercut essentially, and be able to catapult himself in front. So I think definitely he's taking the right choice, because what would he have gained if he got past Dominic Herbert? Nothing. He would have got in front, taken off, blah, 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 but he would have lost that crucial 1.5 seconds being stuck behind him that he wouldn't have lost had he come in on this lap, which is exactly what he's done. So I think he's done the very right thing here, with about halfway of the race left to go. But a little bit of a twitch coming out of the pit lane, maybe to get those tyres back up to 10.
Yeah, I think he was trying to get past this man, Stuart Gibbons. And I'm a little bit worried that how this has all come about and why Stuart is kind of facing the wrong way. And I think I've got a little bit further down than I really need to. I think you have a look and see what happened. But no, I think there was Gibbons there, and what happened? Try and get back on it. But there's coming out here side by side. Now, obviously, from Stephen's point of view, he can get on the throttle. Obviously,
Yeah. That happened.
Like, get too much grip, didn't it? Because he pulled it. Good evening, Malik Heisler. Welcome in. He looked like he had too much grip there, I've got to be honest. And kind of, I don't know. Any ideas there?
He took too big of an apex coming out of the pit lane. He tried to shorten the distance of the pit lane, maybe turn it a bit too early and just tap the wall and bang. It's a tricky pit lane exit here at the Red Bull Ring, I'll give him that, because you get on the accelerator quite early, then you have to brake for the actual corner that is the inside of turn 1. So it's easy to do, but a clumsy mistake that has really cost him in this race. There's Dominic Herbert now leaving the pit lane. Where is Callum Regarten is what I want to know. There we go. Well, that is peculiar. Dominic Herbert's been able to stay in front by quite some margin, obviously, where Callum Regarten's had to avoid Stuart Gibbons.
Yeah, I think in a way, Stuart's done him a favour, really, there, Zach, I think. And these guys are going side by side currently.
They are indeed. We can see Chris Byram on the outside now of Dominic Herbert, fighting now for what is now 4th place in this race. Of course, still waiting for the drive-throughs to funnel themselves out. Then we'll have a true perspective on what's going on. Lap 8 now with 15. Down the inside comes Dominic Herbert to the inside of 4. And you can see there Chris Byram trying to hang him out to dry on the outside line, trying to get that momentum, but a long way to be stuck on the outside of turn 5. Does give him the inside for the first part of this infield section here at turn 6. Back up the inside comes the Cooler Works driver of Chris Byram, now able to get his car in front. Though, does Dominic Herbert get the switcheroo on this run downhill towards the quick flick of 7? Not quite able to. So Chris Byram in front for now, although 4 seconds was the gap between these guys and Callum Regatta at the start of this lap. It's now just over 2. So Callum Regatta making some steady progress back into this fight.
But they're not helping themselves, are they? That's the question we were talking about earlier on, where we were saying, you know, guys, you've got to kind of almost knock it off, because you've got the ever-looming TRG behind you. They've got to knock off this fighting. You know, Sean Roberts is not that far up the road from Lewis Archer, right? Lewis Archer is 8 seconds behind him. Roberts hasn't gone into done his drive-through yet as well, so this could be Roberts losing it here. And from Roberts' point of view, I would go in now, get it out of the way, see where you come out, and then you know what you got to do. You know you're going to lose it to Lewis Archer. You know you're possibly going to lose it to Miguel Lees. But what you don't want to lose it and get involved with is battle here, isn't it? Because that's really going to slow you down.
For sure, he's going to be hoping that Callum Regatta gets stuck behind these guys for at least another while. But Sean Roberts has had a pretty clean race up in front, unpressured really from anyone. He's been able to be to himself, drive at a steady rate, and be all right. Now he's holding out hope that whenever he does come into the pit lane, it's not going to be so detrimental that he's going to lose a ton of places. So, as you say, come in now, see what the damage is, and then be able to work from there. At least then you're not holding out false hope right until the end of the race. Because if he comes in on lap 14 and comes out in 5th, he's going to be like, oh, brilliant, sweet, I've just been leading the race, now I'm going to finish 5th. Whereas if he comes in now, like what I was saying with Callum Regatta a little bit earlier, he has something he can do about it. He's still got control of that situation and can still work his way forward. So for Sean Roberts, I think definitely the right course of action is to come in as soon as possible. He's left it as late as possible in terms of giving himself some clear air out in front. But yeah, other than that, I'm not too sure as to who's going to come out on top, because again, it's so spaced out because of the difference in strategies in terms of that drive-through. Sean Roberts, clean race out in front. Callum Regatta, fastest by far on the circuit. The next quickest is Lewis Archer, and he was a second slower than Callum Regatta on that last lap. So, you know, that he's very quick, just setting the fast lap on that previous lap of a 39.75 as well. So Regatta is very, very quick indeed, and still have no idea as to who's going to win this, because he is still a bit far back relative to Sean Roberts, and the amount of time you lose driving through the pit lane, I don't think it's sort of that much, no more than sort of 12-15 seconds surely.
Yeah, we tried to calculate this last time, didn't we? And you know, it never seems to work how it does, because we have pit lane times of 30 seconds. So technically, Roberts should come in and be behind these guys, but as we know from previous races, it doesn't always work like that. And unless Regatta has given himself a big old mountain to climb up in the last 4 laps here, he needs to move, and he needs to kind of get on with it a little bit, because I think this is going to be completely, well, unexpected. Well, there you go, saying that, he's just looking at going around the outside where his favourite, it's almost like it's been his favourite passing position this evening, and he's running around the outside of Roush, and then running around the outside into Worth, and seems to, he's got that Hyundai hooked up round there, and he's just carries so much more speed that he gets the job done, doesn't he? He does.
He's sorry, I just got a bit of mince pie down my throat, which is great. No, yeah, I'm good. I'm fantastic. Just very poorly timed inhale there from myself. But no, Callum Regatta, he's able to use that outside momentum, particularly at a corner like turn 6, where you can really carry the speed on the outside, carry that momentum. He's got more track, of course, on the outside to use. You can go in a bit deeper, you can turn a bit later, and he's just got the confidence to keep that throttle pinned where other people haven't, and that's really played to his advantage. And other people as well, respect to them, it does take 2 to tango, have given him that space on the outside to be able to do that, whereas they could very easily do the typical style of racing that we're starting to see creep into things now, where it's like, I was at the apex first, it's my corner, where I'm going to run you out of road on the outside, which is just boring. So fair enough for everyone else to sort of give him that space, that margin to find a way through. And also for them, there's no point fighting Regatta so much unless you're in a pack of sort of 2 or 3. You're going to be overtaken. It's Callum Regatta, and it's only for 4th or 5th place. So there's just no reason to trip yourself up trying to keep him behind, because it's not going to work. You know, Callum Regatta is going to find a way through eventually. So they've done the right thing and given them the space. But yeah, he's just got such a confidence about him, such a style in his driving relative to everyone else on this grid, that is allowed him to excel in an otherwise small field.
Okay. So this is the current situation, right? Regatta is on a 139.85. Archer and Lees is on the 140s. right? 140.98. So he's a second quicker there. Roberts last time out on a 142. So he's just under 3 seconds quicker. We haven't got long left here, right? As the leader starts lap 12. It comes to the end of 12, he's going into 13. He's got a mountain. I'm not saying he ain't going to be able to clear and climb the mountain and conquer the mountain. I'm saying he's got a mountain to have a go at, isn't he? Because, you know, that's a bit of a gap there. I know Robertson's still got to go into the pits, but, you know, let's just see how he gets on here from Callum Regarton's point of view.
For sure, it is tricky. It's going to be tricky for him, but I think there's no one else on this grid that could do it other than Callum Regarton. He's the only one that's been so consistent and so quick at the same time to be able to put himself in this situation. Even if he doesn't win this race, right? He started from the back in race 1 and won it. He started from the back in race 2 and is going to do well. With a situation where Olivier Bolsenick and Scott McFall are not here, that's still points. That's still points gained relative to his championship rivals. He has still had a successful evening here, regardless of whether or not he wins. Yes, it's nice to take the victory, take the double win, and get even more points, but he shouldn't shy away too much from the fact that even if it's second or third, it's still not a bad result. So yes, as you say, it's going to be pretty tricky for him to actually win this race, but all he's got now is some clear air, himself, his pace, his car, and he's just going to try and get out and put the lap times in, which is exactly what he's doing. 39.5. That was now 3 seconds quicker than Sean Roberts on that last lap. That's 3 seconds around a 10-corner lap. That is huge. That is, 3/10 per corner. That is massive. You think how hard it is to gain 3/10 over a lap, let alone through each and every corner. He is so much quicker, and unless Sean Roberts has got like something really special planned for the final couple of minutes, Callum Regarton still has a pretty high likelihood of being able to pip him. You can see there, was it Sean Roberts just coming out of turn 1 while Callum Regarton was just coming past the pit lane? That is not a big gap. That is not a big enough gap for Sean Roberts to slot back into.
Yeah, he's doing a 139.6. Roberts last time out a 141.69. So near enough, 2 seconds dead. Quicker, 39.4. He's 1.4 quicker than Archer. Not so much quicker than Miguel Lees though. Lees is keeping him a little bit honest on a 143.1. Still 7/10 quicker than Lees, but if anyone is really in the position at the moment, it could be Lees here. He's taking bits out of Archer. CRG's a little bit further back, and Roberts has got to go into the pit. So I think you could be looking at Miguel Lees' victory here.
Oh, I could see that happening. I think that Miguel Lees, after the first race, did still show some good pace. Sort of probably easily second best, or at least third best. You've got Callum Regarton, Miguel Lees, Lewis Archer. Miguel Lees and Lewis Archer interchangeable in terms of how they've shown themselves today. But yeah, I definitely think that Miguel Lees could, for sure, still win this race. And if it isn't going to be Callum Regarton, it will be Miguel Lees.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the situation here as well. Saying that though, he isn't close enough to Archer yet. Roberts has gone in. Now this is going to be the interesting one here. We can see Lees and Archer is looking. Where is Roberts in the pit lane? He's only just started. There goes Archer. Is Lees going to get him? He is as well. What about CRG? He can't hit the gas yet until he hits the green. It's still not there. Just on the top of your screen, he's hit the green now, but obviously Byram's going to be carrying more speed round turn 1, and we have seen what happened earlier on with Stuart Gibbons, and that is Sean Roberts down in 5th place on the last lap.
That's painful. Lewis Archer as well now takes the lead of the race. He did come in, right? Lewis Archer has come in. This is his race then. It's got to be 4 seconds and 1 lap. That is not doable. Callum Regarton might scrape second if he's lucky, but for Sean Roberts, as I said, he left it too late. I don't think there was much more he could have done, but for his state of mind, I don't think that it was this good leaving it this late, and he might actually still lose that place potentially, or might gain a place relative to Chris Byram. But we'll see. There's not long left in this race, and again, he's not given himself that much time to be able to do anything about it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting one here as well. Depends on what's going to happen with CRG and Miguel Lees. CRG there looks like he's going to be carrying the speed round of double corners that he has made most of his overtakes this evening. Is he going to be able to get Mikael Lees going on that run now into, currently coming on the down into Rin before he goes round through the Red Bull Mobile? What's going to happen? Is he going to be able to carry this speed, or is CRG going to be settling for third place? I don't think he's probably ever settled in his life in any car he's been in, so he is going to give him a run down. But here comes Lewis Archer, takes the victory. Mikael Lees is going to get second place, and the surprise CRG in third. Byram is going to come across the line in fourth. Sean Roberts in fifth. And then Dominic Herbert coming across the line in the final sixth place position there as well. Okay, so we got a different winner. It's a little bit unexpected, but let's have a look at the results here for the feature race. Lewis Archer does take the victory. Mikael Lees in second. Callum Regarten in third. Chris Byram in fourth. Sean Roberts fifth. Dominic Herbert in sixth. Stuart Gibbons seventh. Laura Ubersax eighth. Danny Bleak ninth. And Adam McNally. Obviously, Danny and Adam didn't take the start. Laura there, unfortunately, having contact with Dominic Herbert going up into turn two. That ended her race. And then Stuart with a rather oddly exit out of the pit lane, I think. That's the only way we can rather say that. And unfortunately took, well, really is himself out. So let's see, guys, if we can get some people in for a chat here as we come to the end of this race. Don't forget, guys, on the 10th, which is next week, we go off again for another round at Phillip Island. And then the week after that, it is Oran Park on the 17th of December. No, okay. So from what we've seen in previous broadcasts, Zach, once you get down to the numbers that we had tonight, and we did have a lot less numbers than what we're expecting, you know, you can get quite boring racing. And even though we still had 10 drivers on track, we didn't get that across the two races.
No, definitely not. We still had a good event despite the lack of numbers, and that does tell a lot about the UTC, about the quality of drivers that we do have. And, you know, we had the suspense of Callum Regarten trying to find his way through the field. Is he going to be able to do it? You had that sort of know that he would. But again, in that second race, he didn't win. And he was just shy, you know, only 4 seconds off the race lead in the end. It wasn't much in it. You were left suspended in anticipation, waiting for something to happen. And the chances are there were things happen. We had good fights amongst the midfield, fights for the podium in both race one and race two. Particularly race one was a fantastic race. Yes, it would have been nice to have more drivers because more drivers usually does mean more action. But if it was a choice between quality and quantity, I'm choosing quality all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree. And I think we did have some quality racing here tonight, even when we had that cluster of cars with Byron, Roberts, Herbert, Gibbons and Archer all there together. You know, we still had, it was kept clean. It was kept tidy. The guys still completed the race. They've still gone round and completed it, which, you know, by the sounds of what it was last week in Monza, it sounds a lot better than what it was. But we have got Mr. Chris Byram, who's jumped into the booth. Good evening, Chris. How are you, young sir?
I'm not too bad. How are you guys?
Oh, mate, I'm good. I mean, we're good. It's been good, nice, clean racing this evening. You know, few incidents, obviously, with Laura not being able to complete the feature race. But overall, from your point of view, that's not been a bad night, has it?
No, I mean, it's a bit disappointing to see that the numbers have dropped. But race one, I think that I'm excited to see that back because I just thought the first few laps were pretty well. It felt immense from my point of view, being sandwiched in between those two Excite cars, and then Callum working his way through, and then Lewis and Dom getting in the mix as well. I felt like it was a bit of action in race one. Feature for me didn't go too well. I missed up entering the pits and lost so much time, so missed out on another podium opportunity, I think, there. But hopefully we'll have a few more drivers for the last two rounds. I think Phillip Island's next week, and then it's Okayoma for the last one. But no, it's been a good...
It's Oran Park, isn't it? Or has that changed?
If it's Oran Park, it's Oran Park. I don't know. It was one of the Japanese ones. I know it wasn't Suzuka, so...
Yeah. But overall, you know, you had a third, you had a fourth. The racing's been good. Go away smiling, can't you? Because at the end of the day, you know, it wasn't chaotic. There wasn't so much going on. And me and Zach were talking quantity versus quality. and we had quality tonight. I think that was the big thing.
Yeah, I think it was good. Like everyone had quite a bit of respect for each other. I don't know what happened in race one between Danny and Lewis. Need to watch that back. But yeah, it was good. Bit of bump drafting, a few little nudges here and there, but overall it was pretty respectful, which is always nice.
Yeah, absolutely there, buddy. Well, mate, congratulations on your third and finishing in fourth. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
Same to you guys every week. Do a fantastic job. Always look forward to watching the stream back, and then also to the drivers that turned up. It was even though it was a small amount, I think it was a good event. So no, thank you to everyone.
No worries there, buddy. Thank you so much
for
joining us. I do want to have a quick chat before we bring in CRG. I want to have a talk with this man, Lewis Archer, who went out and he took the victory in the feature race. Mr. Archer, good evening. How are you, sir?
Hasn't really kicked in yet, to be honest. I didn't really expect to win. I don't know. You just don't really have any expectations anytime you go out. Sometimes you have to really fight for them. But obviously, we know the grid size was low. But yeah, I expected Callum to do a bit better than that. I just spoke to him. He said he had an issue, pit lane, things like that. So, but no, very unexpected points.
Yeah, but it's points that that you're not gonna sit here and say. It's like if I come up to you and went, here you go, Lewis, there's £1 million, or you can take £10. You're not going to turn around and say, I'm going to take £10. It's like me sitting there going, well, Lewis, you gained a big chunk of points tonight, mate, because the others people weren't here and we had low numbers, and you now put yourself in fourth in the championship.
Nice. I didn't even know that. But yeah, excellent. I mean, yeah. Hopefully have more people turn up next time and a bit more of a challenge. But no, it's still cracking race one, actually. I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, I think that's what we were talking about. I heard Monza was a little bit chaotic at times, and that's what we said. Quality kind of pays off over the quantity, I think, Lewis, and that's what we had tonight was the quality in race one, where we had 5 cars bunched together and still made it through cleanly. We only had Laura in the feature that didn't finish the feature due to a little tag with Dominic Herbert. But that was the only one that didn't finish. But other than that, the racing's been clean, hasn't it? It's got to be. I know, we'd love 40-car grids, we'd love 30-car grids, but when you've got the quality that you all finish, race closely, don't have any contact, all complete the laps, surely that's a bonus.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I always look forward to watching the races back, and I look forward to doing tonight. I'm sure you've done a smashing job and all that stuff, but yeah, decent points.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And as I say, by what the standards are currently at the moment, it does move you up into fourth place. So, Lewis, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
Yeah, shout out to Chris, my teammate. We chatted about a lot of changes and things that are coming as season 3 and all sorts of things. So yeah, very much head down with him and Dominic Herbert as well. He's just come onto the admin team, and we'll be catching up with all the stuff moving on. I've only got a couple rounds left now, and crazy we're coming to the end of it. So someone's going to get the big trophy soon, and a team constructors and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of medals to give out, and as we look forward to the next season.
Absolutely there, buddy, as well. So much love talking to you, as always, is Lewis, and I'll probably catch up with you during the week, no doubt.
Excellent, mate. Have a good one.
And you, man. Take care. Right, let's bring in Mr. Callum Reed Garton into the booth. The man who the only way we explained it in race 1 was playing with his food. Hey, me and Zach both didn't have any other superlatives apart from the fact that you were playing, and I think that's the thing, right? But I appreciate, either you missed the start or whatever happened in race 1, you still come through and took the victory. Now, you were 2 seconds quicker than most of these guys on track tonight. What was the thinking going in? Because you dominated quali, shown it in practice, then you're going into a sprint race that you could kind of come from the back and go through.
It's just I saw the numbers today and I thought, it's a bit of a shame because there isn't really anybody to race, sort of thing, like to be interesting. So I thought I'd best make it interesting for people to watch on the stream, and then also give the other guys a chance not to bang my own drum, but it's not fair on them. Do you know what I mean? Like they've practiced throughout the week and what have you. So it was just a bit of fun, mate, just to make it a bit interesting, and so other people could have fun as well.
Well, I think that's the thing, and I discussed it with Lewis and Chris, right? And we've talked about it with Zach as well. Monza was a little bit chaotic. We come into this race, we've got 10 drivers on track, so we're instantly sitting there thinking, oh dear, right? You know,
Oh dear.
Oh dear, right? Because 10 drivers can be, if they're spread out around the Red Bull ring, they could be one on each corner, and we ain't going to have anything happen. But we had 5-car battle in race 1. We had cars with the GTR guys battling it out in race 2 in the feature. We had you bringing it, make it interesting, trying to come back through the field as well. The quality of racing was probably better than what it was last time out with the extra numbers.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, Monza, it was a bit of a tricky track because obviously the layout that it was, and obviously it's a much tighter circuit. You got more track around Red Bull to play with, but yeah, the overall driving standards haven't been bad from what I've seen. Like I think that they're really good. Like everyone's safe enough to and still be competitive with one another and make it interesting for themselves and challenge themselves and stuff, which is good to see. And it's nice to see that everyone's obviously respecting others as well, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So, but I think obviously with more numbers on a particular like the right layout of circuit, obviously it will be better overall anyway. But the driving standards are there from everybody. Like I can't fault anybody for driving standards. Everyone's really safe. Make sure they have fun, and that's the main thing. You turn up to have fun.
So, race 2 then. Did you have fun? Because you were trying to come back through. Did you have? Was there any damage or anything? Because obviously, you had Stuart Gibbons go and put it in the wall on the exit out of the pit lane there. We were a little bit worried about that you might have got caught up in it. Did you think you could come back through? I suppose that's probably where I'm going with it, Callum. Did you think you could come back through to first? And was you surprised that you didn't get there?
Well, at first, when I came through the pit lane, I actually stopped thinking I was actually doing a pit stop, like a silly sausage. Because I haven't been doing any racing for about a week, so it's been, I just thought I was doing a pit stop for some strange reason, and then realised mid-start I was like, oh no. And then Stuart came out in front of me in the pit lane, and then I don't know what he had a bit of a moment with himself and put himself in the wall.
Yeah.
And it tagged me, and it gave me rear damage on the rear left corner, and my car was actually crabbing throughout the rest of the race. But yeah, it was good fun. It was fun.
Yeah, both me and Zach sat here and said we weren't entirely sure what Stuart did. Because all of a sudden his car he seemed to turn it a little bit, and then all of a sudden he had this massive over amount of grip, and he just went straight right into the barrier. It was very bizarre. But look, going forward, how are you at Phillip Island? Have you done much racing at Phillip Island?
I love Phillip Island.
Yeah,
really, really good track.
Such a good track. But
it is such a good track.
I haven't been there in TCRs though, mate. I've been there in probably every other form of car possible, apart from this one. What are we expecting here?
I think it's going to be, if everybody turns up, I think it's going to be a bit of a draft fest. I think.
Yeah.
It's going to be similar to Monza. Because you've only got so many places where you can overtake. I mean, you've got the hairpin. It all depends on what layout we're racing as well. And then you got the downhill section, which is really fun. And obviously it'll be interesting to see how the TCR cars run around there, because I haven't driven TCR around there either. So it'll be interesting for sure.
It definitely will be, buddy. But thank you so much for joining us again, as always. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
Yeah, you guys obviously giving us coverage of the race, and obviously to the admins, they do a great job. And thanks to my teammate as well.
No worries,
teammates.
Teammates, much love, and take care, buddy. And we'll speak to you soon.
Take care, guys.
Well, there you go, Zach. They were all still along the same lines as us, quality over quantity, and we did have quality tonight. I think that's the thing that we can touch on, even with the drivers we had.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, as I said, I'd much rather have a 10-car fight where you've got, 3-4 people fighting for the race lead than 20-car grid where you've got one person completely dominating out in front. I would definitely rather that, just that sheer intense, feel for the entire race. all the way through. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed tonight, despite the lack of numbers. Yes, it's a little bit disheartening and whatever. It would be nice to have more people on to have both quality and quantity. But you know, you can't ask for everything in this world. But you know, it was still a successful evening for sure. We, as I said, we still had the suspense, the tension, the race in action, the drama, the chaos. We had everything, just sort of toned down just a little bit. But yeah, no, it seems that everyone's still buzzing about it. Everyone's still happy about what happened tonight. You know, Lewis Archer was buzzing about his win, kind of regutting, you know, looking forward to Phillip Island and things like that. There is still that same feel to the season that we had sort of in the opening rounds, which I think is very, very important.
Absolutely there as well. So thank you so much for people who joined us this evening. If you are watching it live, don't forget to give the thumbs up and hit the bells for notifications and subscribe. That would be absolutely incredible. Big shout out to Scott McFall. Hope you get better soon there, Bud, as well. Keegan, much love for joining us as well. And Adam McNally and Danny Bleak, who both left the session after race one and could not get back in for the feature. But that is it, guys. We will see you next week at Phillip Island. But for now,